Hi, Kenny here. I thought I'd finally do a walk around of my cargo trailer camper conversion. Now, this is not a luxury build by any standard. It's not a show model. This is strictly based on low budget. So my approach to it was to make this as affordable as possible, to use as many existing materials as possible, and to not spend months and months working on it, and so I could get out on the road and start living out of my trailer full time. So that being said, I'll show you some of the things I did while building out my trailer. First of all, I should explain that this is a 5x8 cargo trailer. I bought it last year. It's a 2022 Cargo Mate 5x8 tall. And what tall means is that it's actually 5 foot 8 inches inside. So that's the headroom I have in there. I'm about 5'10", 5'11". And so if I do want to stand up in there, and there's not many reasons for me to do that, I barely have to bend over inside in order to stand up. So I definitely would recommend looking into a tall if you decide to go this small when building out a cargo trailer. As you can see, I chose to go with the barn doors as opposed to the ramp, and personally I prefer the barn doors. Often I'm in the backcountry on BLM land or public land and searching for a campground, and I can fit this little trailer into some tight little spots. So sometimes I back up 2 feet from trees behind me, and I can still open these doors fully and get to whatever I need to in the back. For most of last year, I used portable fold-out solar panels in order to charge all of my solar batteries. But earlier this year, I decided to get a roof rack up there and make it a little easier to charge. These particular brackets come tall, so I took a hacksaw and I cut these down as short as I could in order to minimize the wind resistance that this system is going to cause while I'm on the road. So far, I think I only noticed about a mile-an-hour difference when I put this thing on the road with the solar panels and the new roof rack. I just used redwood on these. It is 2x4s, a little bit heavy, but low budget. These brackets were about $120 for 4 of them, and the redwood probably cost me about $20. And I installed these roof solar panels. They're just 100 watts each, but it turns out it's pretty much all I need. I've traveled all this year with them and was able to recharge my batteries as much as I wanted. Since I was able to use the existing plywood walls, all I had to do was fill the screw holes that I mounted it back onto the framing with and prime it and paint it. So when I got this trailer, it came with some very thin Luan type strips of boards that covered the seams between the plywood, and I pretty much had to destroy those because they were attached with staples, and it was some very cheap flimsy material, so I didn't really want it. So what I did is buy a 4x8 sheet of poplar at an 1/8 inch. It might have been 5/16, I can't quite remember, but I bought the whole sheet for about $23, and fortunately I had access to a table saw and I was able to mill all of my own trim here. I should mention that I'm a painter by trade, so it comes naturally for me to go ahead and stain it all, and there's a few coats of polyurethane on all of this trim. This is not my first build. For a year before I got this trailer last year, I had another 5x8. It was an old used one, and it was kind of my prototype to build out trailers. So I was able to take the bed out of that trailer and put it straight into this one. I see a lot of people use 2x4s when they're framing out things in these small trailers, but you really don't need that much wood. You can frame out a bed with 2x2s, and that's what I did for the main frame. I think they're on 16-inch centers, something about like that. And then I used some OSB. That's probably about, it's not even a 1/2 inch, I think, 3/8 inch OSB that I had the platform for the mattress. As far as the legs went, I went ahead and used 2x3s on those. So it helped keep the weight down, and again, very affordable. The other thing I did is when I designed my bed and sketched it out, I wanted to make sure the height was maybe 1 inch higher than these tote boxes with the yellow lids that you see. So I'm able to store a lot of my equipment and things under my bed. That's the system I use, is tote boxes rather than a lot of cabinets with drawers and doors on them. It eliminates a lot of weight. You don't really need to get to a lot of things most of the time, like what I put towards the front there, things like a chainsaw, a few items like tents, backpack, things I'm not going to use very often. But all I have to do to get to it is pull out a container or two and then get to that box and slip that stuff back in there. So for the most part, a lot of the stuff you're carrying around you don't really need access to very often, and I find the tote box system very easy and efficient. I also decided to use carpet, and this is some Home Depot cheap carpet. I think it was about $1 a square foot. $40 to put the carpet in. Laid it down with some glue, and I like it because when I'm traveling, and especially on rough dirt roads, the totes and everything you're carrying around is not back here sliding around. It provides some grip for totes and those sort of things, whatever you're storing under these things while you're on the road. So you can also just have a cheap little area rug that you throw in here that you can get dirty if you want, and then it'll just toss it in a washing machine occasionally. As for the bed itself, I cut some of the same poplar that I used on the trim and mounted it to the side with a little bit of lip on it, so it actually keeps the bed in. As far as the mattress goes, I ordered a 4-inch foam mattress here from a company online. You can pick different types of firmness. I personally like it firm. I love this bed. It's very comfortable. It was an important part of my build. It's kind of big, but I want good, comfortable night sleeps. The cushion itself, I think, around about $120. Here's a view from through the back doors. I carry around some of my tools here. Got the toolbox there. This basket here has jacks, leveling jacks, the leveling yellow blocks that you can level your trailer with, a few other things like grease for the hitch and that sort of thing. Right now I have my refrigerator in here. Normally I'll have this in my car with its kind of own dedicated solar battery. Let's see, what is this one? It's an Alpicool, and I've had this for a couple of years. I'm perfectly happy with it. It's very efficient. It's pretty quiet. I went ahead and made my own insulative cover with duct tape, so you don't have to spend a lot if you want to just add some insulation to help your cooler a little bit on those hot days. So for my tables, I used a system where I could fold these tables up against the wall while I'm traveling, and then easily fold them back down when I get to my campground. I just bought this little latch. I think you can see a little chunk of plywood there to the wall to make it even with the width of the table. It's as simple as just twisting that, drop the table down, and you're ready to have a nice horizontal surface to put more things on, to work on, etc. The second shelf I installed was just a smaller version of the same thing on the right there. Mostly what I use this for is laptops or notebooks, that sort of thing. If I want to sit here and work on a video or watch movies, that sort of thing at nighttime. Here's my stove, just so you can see. I kept in mind the size of this thing so it would fit this easily. So this is where almost all my cooking gets done. In the morning, nighttime, lunchtime I might be outside, and when I set that table up out there. Back here, the bed is short of where the door is closed by about 6 inches, like between here and the door. So it gave me the space to put my shower tent, which I made a cardboard cutout for it to hold it. So when you're on the road and these things are, I'm going down bumpy roads, everything's wiggling it around, and very quickly it wears holes in all of your stuff sacks. So I carry around chunks of cardboard, put them between things, and helps save some of those stuff sacks. I've also got one of these expandable ladders, or telescoping ladder. And put a couple eye hooks on the end of the bed, and that's where that stays most of the time, especially when I'm traveling. Okay, as for the ceiling, I also went with very affordable hardboard. It's a hardboard tempered panel. It's type of masonite, and I think this is about 1/8 of an inch, and that was kind of important for my build because my ceiling's all bowed, and it's actually bowed in different directions, and it was important that it was easy to form fit what I was attaching when I was attaching it to the steel beams in the ceiling. I went ahead and just left it on the smooth side. It could be primed and painted, and you could do anything you wanted with that. But certainly under $30 to do the ceiling. One of the things I decided not to skimp on in this trailer was a decent ceiling fan. First one I bought in my old trailer was a cheap 1-speed. It's like $40, $50, and it was loud as hell. So you get tired of that pretty quick. Definitely buy the Max fan. This is a manual 4-speed. I think this is under $150. No need to have a remote in a small space like this because everything's literally within hand's reach. As for the window, I went with I think it's 12 by 20, something roughly that size. It opens and has an opening window with the screen on it. Those went up in price after COVID hit, like a lot of things did. Then I think I spent $120 on this window. I also added a diesel heater. These are about 120 bucks. They're a mixed blessing. I love them because they are a super affordable, clean way to heat your small space like this. The upside is they work perfectly below 6,000-7,000 feet, but as soon as you get into the higher altitudes, they give you problems. I guess they have made a model now that's supposed to adjust to the altitude, but the reviews I've seen on it are sketchy at best. One of the things I did on this trailer was screw together almost everything. The whole build is almost put together with screws. Aside from some of the cabinets I built and then hung on the wall that I nailed together with a nail gun. I did that modular so it could come apart easily. So this is actually one of the little additions I did a few weeks ago, is add this little tiny shelf. It's going to be a shoe shelf, just nice, valuable extra storage in a small trailer like this. Anyway, this shelf's held in with compression mainly, but otherwise I've put one screw in there to secure it, especially during travel, so you know things bounce around. So I pulled that screw and all ready just for the video, and I could just tilt this little table out of here, and now I have nice access to get in there and service that diesel heater. If any of you are familiar with these, after so many hours you want to get in there and you switch out the screen in there that atomizes the fuel inside of them. And sometimes you actually have to service these things in the field. In the back here I have it kind of protected, all the wiring for the diesel heater leading up there through a hole up to the power. There's my power cord. I attached a 12-volt lighter to it, lighter plug-in. Up here is the remote. And, this little battery I found, it's just a cheap $120 300-watt power station, and I can run this diesel heater. Granted, I run it on the lowest setting almost all the time because you can literally cook yourself out of a small space like that. I've also run the cords back there for Starlink, and it's all just connected there. You can see my gas line running through this. This panel also pops out. I can service any of this on the road with a screwdriver. I also have a Wii boost, so sometimes if I'm near a tower, that's all I need. I bought that a couple of years ago before I could afford the Starlink. So I've already run the cords for this stuff. And I run that cord down to here where also the cord can come out for the Starlink. And I've installed a little port here. Kind of like what you do for an RV. These are made for RVs. So I've got a little piece of that purple insulation in there, so when I travel, dust doesn't get in and seals it up a little better. Super handy. Run the cord out there, clip it in there. Either run the boost over there where I put a painting extension pole up to and through that little mount, and I can extend the antenna up 4 or 5 feet above that. Otherwise I can run the Starlink from there under the trailer usually, and then out to the dish. Here's another addition that I made recently. That diesel gas tank there at the front used to just be open, and I just didn't have time last year, but I finally built out a box for it, mounted it to the wall with some little L brackets, put a slot in it so I can still see how much gas is in it, stained and finished it just like everything in the trailer. I also added this small shelf, which is every bit of shelving that you can put in a small trailer is very handy. You can never have too many hooks. A lot of these I'm just hanging utensils off of. I like this wall open personally because I hang all my pots and pans there. There's something I use every single day. So once I'm at my camp, and I'm usually staying for a week to 2 weeks, everything's just up like that. So as for power, I just decided to go with the modular solar power stations. I've got a couple little ones, and this one here is a 700. It's kind of everything I need for inside. This will run my Starlink, this charges my laptops, my notebooks, my phone. I use almost all USB. Well, all of my lighting is USB lighting. Most of it just chargeable. I use brighter lights that I bring out and hang off the ceiling here once I get to my campsite. That these can stay up. I've got 3 or 4 of these, and they turn all kinds of different colors, and they're easy to recharge. So I don't need anything more than that. So when I installed my Max Air fan up here, I ran the electrical cord through the ceiling and then out the ceiling by that piece of trim there, that black cord you see there, and down the corner. And probably left the line a little bit long. I actually don't need that much excess. And then I just attached the 12 volt lighter input so I can run my fan off of the 12 volt. Let's see if this is on. It's on. So I just plug that in when I want to use it. And away we go. Nice quiet fan. The first year when I built out the inside of the trailer, I had only these baskets. The longer one was up there where this cabinet now is, and the other two were over here where this cabinet now is. A few weeks ago, rather than building a cabinet here, I decided to just buy this one off of Amazon. It's super light. I think it's about 8 or 9 pounds. It's all metal. What I like about it the most, this one's about 3 feet long, and what I like about it is the door opens to the top and then slides in, and you can keep that open as much as you want, like once you're at your campground. It came with the brackets back here to mount it to a wall, but I also decided to add screws up here in the top, moving over there along the top of the wall, from the metal into the wall, and the same on the bottom. So this thing is super secure. It's not going anywhere. Mostly this one I'm going to dedicate to the clothing that I have. All the clothing I need to wear for 2 weeks, which is typically how long I'm staying in a campground in one place. One of the other projects I worked on a few weeks ago when I had access to a table saw and a miter saw is I built this little cabinet. You'll notice all around the trailer I'm a big fan of hooks. They come in handy for all kinds of things like clothing, backpacks, towels, many things. You really just almost can't have too many of them in a tiny little space like this. Anyway, I built this little cabinet out. I decided to put a door on this one. I went ahead and decided to put a strut on it. The door opens upward toward the ceiling like most RVs. And this is a nice little extra storage too. Usually this is where all my toiletries go and that sort of thing. What used to be in the basket over here, or the 2 baskets I had over here. So this is a really nice little addition, and it allowed me to add a paper towel holder to the trailer, so now I don't have a loose paper towel roll floating around the trailer all the time. I also added this little box. I decided not to put a door on this one because it's just so small. I didn't want to add the weight, but someone had mentioned to me an idea that I thought was good, and it was to use compression rods, and you can buy them all lengths. I've got them on order right now, and they should be here a couple days. But when I move down the road again and I want to keep stuff in that little box, I'll just put a couple of those tension rods in there, and it'll keep everything in. Something I almost forgot to mention was how I connect my solar panels to my solar battery. You can see I ran the cord through the ceiling. I put a little rubber grommet in there, so again, when you're moving down the road and there's all kinds of bumps, everything's always rubbing, and that's to minimize the wear and tear on the cord there. So I just simply ran it through the ceiling, a loose cord. I left a lot on this. Attached it to the adapter for my solar power station, and then all I have to do is plug it in right here and I am charging. Pretty handy. This cord is long enough to reach all the way back here, so when I am actually have the other big battery, and I store it right there under the end of my bed to power this refrigerator. That cord behind me will extend over to that battery, and I can simply plug it in, and I'm charging with the rooftop panels. So that was a huge improvement, putting the panels on the top of the trailer. Pulling out those foldable panels every day becomes, it's not that big a deal, but it's kind of a pain in the ass when there's wind, especially. You're always moving them around to keep them in the sun, to angle them towards the sun. I still use them a lot, but once I put those panels on the roof, life got a lot easier in a little cargo trailer camper. When I bought my first cargo trailer, I also watched a lot of YouTube videos in order to figure out how to do things like install windows, cut holes in the roof, install a fan. There's no shortage of those kind of videos that are very helpful if you want to do those sort of things in your own trailer. Hopefully this video was helpful. If you find even one or two things that you'd like to use, if you're interested in doing a low budget trailer build like this, all the better. So thanks a lot for watching. Bye.